In 1996, the Army sent me to Boston for a year, and while there, I rented an attic apartment in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The woman I rented from was incredibly nice. She helped me get settled, took me around to some of the historical sites in Boston, and she also introduced me to her good friend and next-door neighbor, Julia Child. I was familiar with Julia Child from the TV show The French Chef and some of her cookbooks, but beyond that, I didn't know much about her. But over the course of the year, I was fortunate to have a series of conversations with her and found her to be quite remarkable in a number of ways. She was extremely intelligent, had strong opinions, was very insightful, and had a great sense of humor. As one example, part of my responsibilities as a tenant was to rake leaves and shovel snow. And one day after a major ice storm hit, I was out picking up branches and debris. Julia came out, she looked around and said, I used to blame things like this on the Russians. During our conversations, she talked about her time studying in France, how she started the show The French Chef, and thoughts about how to enjoy life, which was really interesting. She also described her experience with the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, during World War II. The OSS was a predecessor to the CIA. When World War II started, she wanted to do her part to help the war effort, and she volunteered for the OSS. And she ultimately served with them in Washington, D.C., in Ceylon, and now Sri Lanka, and in China. Actually, in Ceylon, she met her future husband, who was also with the OSS. As she described her time in the OSS, she made one observation that I found fascinating. She said that in her job, she'd met a number of U.S. generals in World War II and felt that the ones who had participated with the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, in the 1930s were more effective during the war. The CCC was a Depression-era works program for unemployed young men, and the Army helped run the camps and administer the program. She believed that the officers with CCC experience had a better understanding of how the larger government operated, plus had a broader view of the environment. Those without that experience, she felt, had a narrower perspective and sometimes had a problem seeing the big picture. Over the last few decades, our military has worked hard to operate in an interagency environment. Basically, we needed to force ourselves to better collaborate with the other parts of our government so that solutions to complex challenges reflected a holistic approach and brought all the capabilities of the U.S. government to bear on the problem. To me, it's interesting to note that Julia Child, the French chef, seems to have come to this conclusion several decades before the rest of us.